Alrighty, welcome back to Let's Play Crisis Core Reunion. Hope you've had a great weekend. We're back here bright and early on Monday morning. I was sick all weekend, so sorry if I sound a little nasally. I'm getting over it now, but still, got a little sinus pressure, so if I sound a little off, that's why. Before we get started, I have something I really want to talk about, and apologies in advance if I seem more negative about this than positive. But I don't know. It's still kind of, I'm still kind of deciding what I think about this. So I kind of want your guys' opinion more than anything about this. I'd love to hear some opinions in the YouTube comments as well. I think it was actually like the end of last week. It was announced that the Pixel remasters are coming to Switch and PS4. And if you go on Square's website, they have their order page here. So here's the thing. I don't know what to think about this. Because, first of all, I'm not a big fan of the Pixel remasters. Just in general, I'm not a big fan of the Pixel remasters. I don't really like them personally. I do like them as a I like them as a way for new people to get into the series, because it's hard to go out and get all of these games, especially Final Fantasy III. It's hard to go out and get all these games and play them, in a easy way on a console that makes sense. So having them all in one place, easy for newer people to try them out, is great. My problem with that is that, why don't we just have straight ports? Why don't we just have all of the ports? They already have the ports on the PS3 of the PS1 games, so there's no reason why those didn't come over. So like, instead of getting, right now, if you boot up the PS3, you will see Final Fantasy 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 all purchasable for way cheaper than this. And they're the actual original games. They are the PS1 versions, so they have the crappy load times. But other than that, they are literally the original games. And you can buy them all separately for whatever, for pretty cheap. And play them on your PS3 and play them with a digital PS1 memory card, and boom. So it would be less work for them to just port over those ports that they already have to the PS4 and PS5. In addition, they have the PS Plus Pass thing, which already has a bunch of PS1 classics on it. And my biggest issue with PS Pass right now is that they're not adding enough PS1 games. You pay like $30 extra for premium, and they don't add any games. They've added a couple within the last couple months, and that's it. It's still the same crap. It's still Tekken 2, Ape Escape. So, it would have been incredibly easy for them to just put these on there, and it would have actually given Premium some meat, but instead, we get the Pixel remasters. So, that's already like a frustration for me. In addition, the Pixel remasters aren't perfect, and everyone was already annoyed by the fact that they were only on Steam, because why were they only on Steam? Why would they not be on console? So now they're finally bringing them to console. But instead of bringing them separately, like on Steam, you get this, they're bringing it physically, which is cool, but it's $75, which all of the Steam games together was $100, which I already thought was too much, but they've been out for a while. So this is just giving me, like, we are just trying to milk the original Final Fantasies for as much money as humanly possible. And I already felt that way about the Pixel remasters when they first came out. So this is just adding fuel to the fire of like they are really just trying to milk the original series. They could have easily brought the ports over. And people that were saying like, oh, the pixel remasters are great for new fans and stuff. I hear you, but like this is the most this is the greediest way of doing it, basically. The greediest way of bringing old Final Fantasies to us. They could have done like Mega Man Legacy Collection or something like that. But instead they're separate games and they bundle them together on Steam for $100 and it's very egregious, yeah. But it gets worse. It gets worse because if I didn't already feel like they were taking advantage of us, there's this. What is this? This boggles my mind on so many levels. Why would we have a collector's edition for games that have been out for over a year? First of all. Second of all, look at what's in this collection. It's like nothing. You don't want it, Kylio, because look at what you get. You get some pixel figurines, which you could literally make yourself. Like, I don't know if these are just perlers. They're not perlers, I don't think. I think they're actually figurines. So you couldn't make these yourself. But they're tiny pixel figurines, okay? You get an art book. This is just the box. This looks really cool, but this is just the box. So you get, and this looks like a lot, but you get this or this. So look, you get a normal box with a slip cover. You get a vinyl set, and you get the figurines. That's it. That's all you get. This is just the box. Like, am I missing something? $260? For what? Vinyls? I mean, that's literally what you're paying for. Vinyls and the figures. And it's normally $75. So you're paying almost $200 for some vinyls? Like, am I missing something? In the art book. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy expensive. The Final Fantasy 16 thing is $350, I think, but you get the statue, which is still not worth it, even close to not worth it. It's barely bigger than my Aloy statue I have back here. But I mean, at least you get a statue that's, you know, that's something at least. What is this? This is just vinyl. Vinyls are cool, and these are really cool vinyls. But what are we paying for here? This is insane. And again, these have been out for over a year. These are old games, and you don't even get a steelbook. You get a slipcover. Like, it just, I'm just, like, these vinyls are going to be $50, $60 on eBay in a month. I mean, that's just unreal. Like, I feel like, and don't get me wrong, guys. If you want to pay your money for this, you can do that. You are in your right to do that. Anyone can pay anything for anything. It's money. Spend it the way you want. If you really like this and you really want it, then it's worth the money. Okay? Don't get me wrong. But objectively, stepping back, I just feel like Square has been taking advantage of the OG Final Fantasy fans for so long. They constantly tease, we're going to bring the old games, and then they never do. We never just get straight ports of the games. Instead, we always get, here's the original games, but with a twist. And then, you know, here's Final Fantasy III, but it's a DS game. Here's the original Final Fantasies, but they're remastered. And they're always overpriced, and they always take advantage of us. And then when we say, guys, like, the pixel remasters are cool, but can we at least get them on console because these are console games? They're like, sure. But then they try to take advantage of that, too. They can't just bring them over from Steam. Like any other company would just take it from Steam and just throw it on the PlayStation Store digitally. And, you know, the fact that they're doing a physical release is cool, and I appreciate because I like physical releases, but this is insane. What do you think this is? Final Fantasy 16? It's not. These are Steam games. These are Steam games that you had someone that's not even in-house make. They didn't even make these. These were outsourced games. They didn't even make these. These aren't even Square Enix games. And they put together this $260 collection? That just seems unbelievable. That just seems ridiculous. So I don't know. I'm so mixed on this. Like, I love the fact that they're doing a physical release, but it just feels like collector bait. This whole thing just feels like collector bait. The remasters all felt like collector bait. It just bothers me. It really does. And even the Final Fantasy 16 Collector's Edition feels like collector bait. Because it's like $350 for a statue that looks really big, but it's not really as big as it seems. It's only slightly bigger than the Zero Dawn statue I have behind me. It's a really cool statue. But, nah, I don't know, man. I've always had an issue with Square Enix's Collector's Edition things, and this is no different. It just feels really off to me. If you like what you see and you want to buy it, 100% go for it. Don't get me wrong. Money is there. You know, if you have income, if you have disposable income and this makes you happy, by all means. If it makes you happy, it's worth it. I want to make that perfectly clear. If it makes you happy, it is worth the money. Okay? But I feel like could be so much cheaper, or just, I don't know. It just feels like collector bait, and it bothers me. So I just wanted to bring that up. It makes me sad. I don't even know if I'm going to get the regular physical edition, because I don't know. I don't really like the Pixel remasters. I want to play 3, but I don't know. I don't know. It's collector bait, but it works. That's the problem. That makes me sad, but it's true.
A large anti-Shinra organization is wreaking havoc worldwide. They're called Avalanche. I hear they're avid students of planet life.
Here's the thing. With Final Fantasy 16, I get it. Okay? People are going to buy the $350 collector's edition of 16. So, do it. Make your money. Do the hustle, Square Enix. I get it. But with Pixel remasters, there's supposed to be games for the OG fans. There's supposed to be this celebration of Final Fantasy past. You know, the games that literally made your company. The games that got you out of bankruptcy. The games that, like, have pushed your company forward for the past decade, right? Past several decades, right? It's supposed to be a celebration, a love letter to us. So, to go with the, well, people will buy it, so just make it that much, just seems off to me. Like, it just seems like, you know, it shouldn't be that. If you want to do it with 16, fine, but I don't know. I don't know. It just bothered me. The Pixel remasters have always bothered me. They've always bothered me because the ports are sitting on PS3 store, rotting. Most people don't even know that they're there. A lot of people don't even know you can buy 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Legend of Dragoon, all on PS3, and they're straight ports. I keep seeing arguments when I talk about the Pixel remaster, where they're like, well, didn't they lose the code? Isn't it hard for them to port? No. Look at the Pixel remasters. They are the original code. Like, they're not literally the original code, but they're the original games rebuilt. So they could do that with the original graphics. Like, they could have easily done that. They chose not to. But that's beside the point. They have the original code. They have the original PS1 games on the PS3 store. They just literally have to put them on the PS5 store or the PS4 store. They could even put them on the Premium Pass to actually give some meat to the Premium Pass, because right now it's a horrible horrible waste of money. But that wouldn't make as much money. That wouldn't make as much money. Instead, let's release a $200 vinyl and sell the games that are a year old again in this huge collector's set, because we know that people care about our series and they'll buy it. I don't know. That's just makes me sad. Because that's the way I feel about so many things that Square do now. It's like, well, they'll buy it because they love Final Fantasy. That's not the point, Square. Like, you should have more appreciation for your series. Instead of just being like, well, we'll make this crappy mobile game because people love Final Fantasy and they'll buy it. Well, you know. Yeah, I don't know. It just bothers me. But I mean, at least it's a cool set. It's way overpriced, but at least it's a cool set. I like the physical copy. If you like the pixel remasters, then I think the $75 physical copy is cool. A bit overpriced given how old they are now, but like, why not make it 60? I don't know. Why not make it 70? Why 75? Like, 70 is the normal price for PS5 games. Just make it 70. Why do they have to go the extra 75? Like, come on. That just seems ridiculous. Could you imagine going to a GameStop? Like, imagine going to a GameStop and you see a bunch of PS4 games, new PS4 games for $60. And then you see a bunch of used PS4 games for like $20. And then you see the new PS5 games for $70, and then all the way at the end you see a PS4 game for $75. And you're like, why is this one PS4 game more expensive than all the new PS4 games and all the new PS5 games? And the GameStop employee is like, well, it's got 6 games on it. And you're like, oh, what 6 games? And they're like, well, they're from like 1989 and 90 and 91 and 92 and 93 and 94. I'm like, okay, well, I got this Atari collection with 500 games and it's $10 on the used rack. Like, there's the Sonic Ultimate collection with like 30 Genesis games for like $5 on your used rack. Why would I pay $75 for 6 NES games? What? NES and SNES games. Hello? Like, it just seems so lost. I don't know. They refuse to sell the original Final Fantasy game. But then, you know, then they come out and they're like, oh, we want everyone to experience Final Fantasy. We want Final Fantasy to be a series that everyone can love and everyone can experience, and you know, we just want to bring Final Fantasy to all the new fans. Okay, well then why are they so expensive? If you want to bring it to everyone, then why isn't it like, because with the Mega Man Legacy Collection, it was like, oh, we want to bring Mega Man to a new fan base, so we're going to put all the games in this collection for a regular price. That makes sense to me. What? How is it bringing it to new fans if it's $75? No one's buying that, Square. No new fans who've never touched Final Fantasy are buying it at $75. Like, they just don't match what they... I hear what Square's going for, and then what they do doesn't match it.
Benora's annual operating budget was being paid for by Shinra.
I'm glad they're getting a physical release, but not like this. It is. It's frustrating. Because I want new people to get into Final Fantasy also. But, you know, and I'm going to make a video about this someday. I'm telling you. I'm going to. I wish I had more time to make YouTube videos. But I'm going to make a video one day about my dream Final Fantasy game. Which is just literally going to be Mega Man Legacy Collection for Final Fantasy. And I want Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. And I want the original versions. And, like, there's so many cool bonus features and stuff. All the stuff from the Omega, or the big books the archives. So many things you could put in there as bonus content. You could have different versions of the games. You could have Final Fantasy 1 or Final Fantasy 1, what was it? Donna 8, what's the name of the Final Fantasy 1-2 package? Something, Donna, somebody knows. Dawn of Souls. You could have you could have 1 and 2, and then you could have the Dawn of Souls versions playable. You could have 3, the DS version, or 3, the original version, or if you were lazy, you could just do the Pixel Remaster. You could have both versions on there. You could have 4, 5, 6. You could do the PS1 versions or the SNES version, but honestly, they're close enough. You could probably just do the SNES version. You could have all this bonus content, and like, it'd be so easy to make because they have all these games already. They have them all on the PS3 store. 90% of what I just said is on the PS3 store. You just put it together in a thing. Boom. And it could be $60, and they would make so much money, and you get so many new people into the series, and then people would try 14, or people would try 15, or people would try 16. And that seems to be what they want. I'm not going against Square Enix here. That seems to be what they want. They seem to be creating these things to try to get new people. Basically, they're trying to make a funnel into Final Fantasy 14. Because Final Fantasy 14 is where they make all their money. If you look at the recent Square Enix like money sheets, oh my god, it's like 80% Final Fantasy 14. It's insane. That's where they make all their money. So, like, everything they do is trying to funnel people into 14. I don't see how a collection like this doesn't do that. So even if I'm on Square Enix's side, even if I'm not just being the fan who's like, I want this, but if I'm on their side, I'm telling them in the PR meeting, like, listen, we need to make a legacy collection because it's going to get so many people into the series, and people love this kind of crap right now. I mean, at this point, it's starting to get old. They're starting to miss their window, but there was a time where every legacy collection just flew off the shelves, and they could have made it then, and they didn't. And that was right when 14 was coming out, too. It would have been perfect. But no, we're going to make stupid crap like freaking Strangers of Paradise. What was the point of that? I still don't know what the point of Stranger of Paradise was. They touted it as like this, oh, it's Final Fantasy 1, but not. But where's Final Fantasy 1? Give us Final Fantasy 1 and then do this. Why are we spending our time on this? But yeah, no, I want to make a video. I want to make a video just about like this legacy collection and how they totally missed the ball on it. Like, there's so much cool stuff they could have done to make a legacy collection work and be awesome. And they even, I mean, if you really wanted to, here's the thing that really bothers me. They're selling the Pixel Remasters for $75, okay? That took a lot of work to make the Pixel Remasters. It wasn't just porting them over. They had to redo everything for the Pixel Remasters, okay? They could have done a Legacy Collection, and to be completely honest, they probably could have split it, like the Mega Man Legacy Collection. They probably could have done 1, 2, 3, and 4 in one game for $40, and 5 and 6 in another game for $40, and everyone would have bought it. Honest. They could have made more money for less work if they had done that. And I think everyone would have bought it. Honestly. I don't think anyone would have complained. Just like Mega Man Legacy 1 and 2. I don't think anyone would have complained. If they had released them both at 40 and then later did like a collection for 60, I don't think anyone would have complained. But instead they put all this time and effort and money into the Pixel Remasters and then sold them for $100 at first, which a lot of people didn't do the $100 thing, and then $75 now. They could have made more money for less work if they had just done a port. I honestly think that. I honestly believe that. 100% believe that. Out of all the people that I've heard comment and say, like, where's our normal ports? Like the Twitter thing, where when they first released the Pixel Remasters, when they first did the trailer, there were so many comments of people just like, but where's the ports? Where's the normal ports? Why isn't this coming to console? And it would have sold so much more if it was originally on console too. Like, oh my god, they could have made so much more money for so much less work. It just bothers me so much. It would have been so much better if they had just said, We're bringing ports to console. Everyone would have rejoiced, and they would have paid abhorrent amounts of money for it. Honestly, they would have. Tell me they wouldn't have. They would have spent so much money on just regular ports on PlayStation. They did more work for something that people were willing to spend less for. We hereby declare the end of the war with Wutai. Worthy of note is Sephiroth, Soldier First Class, whose contributions were instrumental in bringing about a peaceful resolution with a minimum of casualties. The end of this war marks the beginning of distribution and further development of Mako throughout all regions. The Shinra Company is dedicated to these goals and will continue to achieve them by any means possible. Soldier members, I thank you for your daily hard work. The long war has finally come to an end, all thanks to the heroic efforts by Sephiroth and everyone in Soldier. However, the air around Shinra remains tense. Threats from powerful armed forces from anti-Shinra elements are too numerous to list. We could deem these distortions born out of Shinra's meteoric rise to glory. And we, as members of Shinra, must always face these distortions with integrity. I hope you keep this in your hearts as you continue in your duties. I said duty.
Hey, Zach.
Oh boy.
So, the war is over.
That it is. I'm sure you heard. I ruled.
No, I didn't hear. The company reports don't mention you at all. On TV, they only talk about Sephiroth's bravery.
But Sephiroth was in B Unit.
Well, our heroes are chosen by the media.
Dreams crushed.
The animations just don't do it for me as much in this game. They were so much goofier in the PSP version.
Oh, come on. Cheer up, will ya?
I don't think there's anything else down here.
Ever since the Wutai War ended, Director Lazard has been permanently holed up in the director's office. Must be doing paperwork.
I'm really glad that some people really like the pixel remasters, though. If you really like the pixel remasters, I don't think you're going to want to buy the $75 physical version right away because you already played them. But down the line, if you can get a physical copy for cheaper, it'd be pretty nice to have a physical copy of all the pixel remasters. So, like, I'm glad they're doing it. Just not like this. But no, a lot of people did like the pixel remasters, so I'm glad they're finally bringing it to console, at least. Materia room. Yeah.
Naturally formed materia are extremely rare, but Mako stones are relatively easy to obtain. A Mako stone is crystallized materia, made of concentrated Mako energy. It doesn't function as materia, but if we process it here, we can make it into materia. Soldier sometimes runs Mako stone excavation missions. You should go sometime.
So, I have something interesting to say about that, but I think it's like 5 levels too deep to get into right now. I was doing some research about the whole Mako condensing thing, and it's interesting how they bring it up here.
This isn't for all ears to hear, but the science department was working on making copies of soldier operatives. You remember that operative, Angeal? I believe that his mother was assisting with the research at the time.
So, here, I'll attempt to explain it. If this goes over everyone's head, it's fine, because it's like 5 layers deep. But not that it would go over your head, but more of like it's so out of left field that you'd be like, what are you talking about, Death? But in the original game, when you're in the flashback and you go to the Mako reactor, there's that scene before where there's the Mako fountain and the materia, and Tifa's like, what the heck is this? And Sephiroth's like, this is materia, it's formed by Mako condensing over time and creating it. He explains how materia works, right? And then you get to the scene with Cloud and Sephiroth in the reactor, and Sephiroth basically describes how he makes the realization that the soldiers in the pods are not normal soldiers, in that they would get like regular Mako, for lack of a better term, poisoning. They inject Mako into them and they become stronger. That's like the normal soldier thing. These ones are special because they're basically doing the materia thing, but inside of a soldier. So they're condensing Mako inside the soldier in hopes that instead of creating materia, it creates like a super soldier. That was Hojo's plan. And Sephiroth comes up with the same exact... He realizes that's what Hojo has been doing. And then the reason he freaks out, originally, is because he thinks that's how he was made. So, and I always got that kind of confused. I always thought, like, why does Sephiroth go crazy there? Doesn't he know, like, he was already a soldier? Like, he already knows that he was showered with Mako. Like, why does he think he's different all of a sudden? It's because he thinks he was created the same way the monsters were created, with the condensing Mako formula, not just the regular Mako shower thing, right? So that's why that fountain scene is there. It's like really well done. I was looking into this the other day. The way they tell the story is so well written because they have the Mako fountain scene right before that scene, so that it makes more sense to the player, like, oh, so these soldiers in the capsules are basically like that Mako fountain we saw earlier. So it makes it make more sense, right? Well, in Crisis Core, and I'll try to say this without, like, spoiling anything, but in Crisis Core, that whole scene works differently. They kind of retcon it in a way. We don't know for sure if it's retconned or not, because Cloud told us the story, so we could have just been, like, telling it differently. But it's basically retconned, and the scene where Cloud and Sephiroth are talking, Sephiroth has completely different dialogue. He skips over the condensing Mako thing completely, and he just says, Hojo's creating monsters. And so I was looking into, like, why do they do it that way? Maybe they just didn't have enough time to do the fountain scene, because there's no fountain scene. Maybe they just didn't have enough time to do the fountain scene, and then they thought that the dialogue there wouldn't make sense without the fountain scene, so they skipped it. But it's interesting because this guy actually tells us about condensed Mako.
Hey, you have
so,
a Mako stuff. Can you leave?
I'm actually kind of interested.
Oh yeah, if you want, you can stay and watch us generate materia.
I'm kind of interested if they put this here to kind of help with that scene, because they didn't have enough time to make the fountain scene. That's probably looking too far into it. Maybe they just didn't want to have to do that scene. But I always found it interesting that, like, the reason Sephiroth goes mad is because he thinks he was created with the condensed Mako thing. But then in this version, that's not why he gets mad. He gets mad because of what Genesis says. So it's interesting. It's interesting how they changed it. Let's do it. Let's watch this materia.
Commencing materia generation. All hands, confirm status.
Little battle music.
Ready, sir. Main engine is on standby. Just give the word.
Well, you mean OG like Final Fantasy VII? Because it has more information. That's the thing. Like, the original game has the fountain scene, and then that sets up why Sephiroth goes crazy. We're not talking about the remake. The remake has nothing to do with anything I'm talking about right now. That's completely different. So, in the original, there's the fountain scene, and then Sephiroth says the soldiers are being made just like the fountain, and then he goes crazy because he's like, what if that's me? In Crisis Core, it works completely differently. There's no fountain scene. Sephiroth just basically says Hojo's creating monsters, and then something that happens afterwards, which we'll see, that's what makes him go crazy. So either Cloud remembered it incorrectly, or they just retconned it. Which, the retcon makes more sense, so I'm okay with it. But it's just interesting to me that this researcher guy starts talking about condensed Mako. It kind of helps make the soldiers in the pods make more sense later, because they removed the fountain scene. That's basically what I was getting at, was like, this guy kind of helps because there's no fountain scene in Crisis Core.
Main engine online. Report Mako concentration rate.
So yeah, like I said, I'm going like five levels deep just to explain why this guy's dialogue is nice. So it's a little crazy, but yeah, I was just thinking about, because I literally researched this like 2 days ago. I was looking into this, so there's just something that popped in my head.
20, 30, 40, steady at 50%. Increase main engine output. The first 30 seconds of the process is crucial.
Aye, aye, sir.
Yeah, I'm dragging out the board with pins and strings just to explain one throwaway line, but
Output, 80%
it was just something that
rising.
popped in my head. I figured I'd say it out loud.
Concentration, still static. Ugh. Ready cooling system. Increase Mako output to maximum.
I love that we're just listening to them talk. There's no animation. We're just...
Output at 120%. 1 minute until we reach critical point.
Mako energy concentration rate is rising. 70, 80, 90% and still going up.
Guys, is it this crazy every time you make a materia? Don't you have this down by now?
All right, hang on, we're almost there. Concentration rate confirmed at 100%.
So why are they going so hard? Like, don't they make several materia a day?
Shut down main engine.
Main engine shutdown confirmed. Hello, materia.
Like, every soldier gets a materia or two. Holy cow.
The materia's complete. And it's a good one. It was made from your Mako stone, so this materia belongs to you. Actually, it's been a long time since we made any materia here in the materia room.
Okay. There we go. It's been a long time.
Like everyone, we have our problems.
We just made that guy's life. It's been years since he's made materia.
Hey, can you...
They have another one? I don't even remember this from the original. I don't remember doing this.
If you...
I'm sure.
Thanks to you, we had
a
the
thing, but I just
opportunity
don't
to make
remember it.
new materia. Let's see, your name was...
Doesn't even know our name.
Zach, correct? I'll remember that. Zach with Soldier, correct? I hope we see you again soon.
Good guy researcher. Oh, man. I feel like we've done so much today, we haven't even left this room.
When I think of Angeal, Genesis, they're not coming back, are they?
You know Angeal's mother? She, I think, for the science department.
Alright. Enough messing around. What the heck is exhibit room? Ooh. Any Easter eggs in here? This is all just the original stuff, I think. Give me the car video. Dude, what if you could find the car video?
The astronaut chosen for the flight is a legendary pilot and the namesake of our airship, Sid Highwind.
They should hide the car video in every version of Final Fantasy VII. Somewhere. The goofy chase truck.
If you get lost, go to the information center, sir.
I'm
The
lost.
ladies at the
I'm lost.
Oh, hello there. If I remember correctly, you're Soldier Operative Zack, second class? I'm sorry, but for an office romance, I've decided it has to be a Shinra executive or better.
We're on the clock, lady.
Apologies, but a second is just not gonna cut it.
Not gonna cut it? Did you see me at the beginning? Running off the train and being a Jedi?
Good day, sir. Welcome to the Shinra Building Information Center.
I love this camera angle.
Please come see me anytime you have questions concerning the Shinra Building.
I don't know why, this just cracks me up. Yeah, could you tell me where the bathroom is?
Exiting the building takes you directly to Sector 8. You may find it refreshing to venture out into Sector 8 while you're on standby for the next mission. There is a train station in Sector 1 where there's a train to the Sector 5 slums.
Yeah, can I get a number 9 with extra barbecue and a soda and another soda? How's it going, Dosito? Which Final Fantasy do you think should get the remake treatment? I don't really. It depends. I think that 8 needs it the most. But I also don't really need remakes. Like, I would be okay with just an 8 remaster that doesn't suck. Like... No, like, don't put words in my mouth. I said... Of all of them, it would be the one that would need it the most. But I don't think any of them need them. That's where I was going with this. Like, I don't think any Final Fantasy needs a remake. But if we were to pick one, it would be 8 because it's aged the poorest. Oh, 8 is definitely aged the poorest. No way. Like, 8, all the other games are very easy to pick up and play. 8 is bad. It looks bad. It plays bad. It's bad. Like, we need a remaster of 8 that doesn't suck, because the remaster they made sucks. Every other game, every other Final Fantasy, you can find a pretty good way to play it. Like, 1, 2, well, 3 needs help, but 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 all have PS1 games you can pop in and they look great. 3 has the DS remake, which isn't great, but it's still a remake. It's more than any other game's gotten. 7, you have 7 million ways to play it, plus the remake. 9, you have the Steam port or the PS4 port, which are both great. 10, you have a full remaster, that's great. And then all the other one, 12 has Zodiac Age, 13 is a PS3 game. So those are all fine. 8 is the odd one out. 8 has the original PS1 game, which is hard to get your hands on and looks like garbage. And it has the remaster on PS4, which also looks like garbage. So 8 is the one that needs the most help. If we could just get a port of 8 that's actually good, where they actually remaster the whole game and not just the models, and the music actually is good. And I mean, like, the port is playable, but we're saying, if I had to pick one, it would be 8. Like, the 8 remaster is playable if you've never played 8, but man, it's bad. Like, it's by far the worst remaster of the whole series. So, if I had to pick one, it'd be 8. But having said that, I don't think any of them need remakes. I would rather just have a remaster that's better. Now, if I have to remake, like literally remake, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, one game in the series, it'd be 8. Because 8 had a cool story, but the way it's told is terrible. If they could tell 8's story, but do it in a more balanced way, if they could fix the character of Adia so she isn't, like, completely fallen off the face of the planet after disc 1. If they could redo all of the, like, filler areas and make it more exciting. If they could redo the world map to not be the worst world map in the series. Like, there's so many things where if they changed it slightly, 8 could be really good. I mean, keep the music, keep the gritty look of it, just, you know, make it modern. Keep the combat, but just change up the junction system a little bit so it's not as broken. Like, it could be amazing. An 8 remake could be amazing. And I like the general concepts of 8, but they're just not told well. The final boss is stupid and out of nowhere. Idea is great, but then falls to pieces after disc 1. So, like, a remake of 8 could be amazing. Do I need one? No. But if I had to choose one, I think 8 would be really cool. I think they can make 8 good. I think they can make 8 in a way where everyone that hated it would come back and enjoy it. That's the thing that's cool about 8, is there's a lot of people who disliked it, but for different reasons. So, like, if you could fix up those problems, people that dislike 8 could come back to it and enjoy it. No, I'm talking full remake. I'm talking, like, change a lot for 8. I think you change the core story. I think you make Adia last longer in the story. I think you make the final boss something different or change it in a way that it fits better with the story. I think you change a lot of the filler to be more interesting. I think if there's a game in the series to, like, actually super remake, it would be 8. I think a lot of the dialogue could change to be shorter and more concise and better. I think the Laguna sequences could be done better. Well, that's why they haven't done it. But like I said, we're talking in I'm answering the question of, if I had to remake one, what would it be? It'd be 8. If I'm sitting at the table of of Square Enix headquarters and they're like, what should we do next? My answer is not Final Fantasy VIII Remake. That doesn't make money. But I'm answering the question that was asked. If I had to remake one, what would it be? It'd be 8. I don't know what other would you remake? 3. That's pretty much it. I don't see any other remake working, really. If you remake 1, 2, or 4, you'd have to add so much to it for it to be a modern game that it wouldn't even feel like it anymore. 5 and 6 could definitely be remade, but they're retro enough to where, like, I don't know, they definitely don't need it. If you're playing 5 or 6, you're playing it for a retro game. The reason that Final Fantasy VII Remake is so good is because they wanted it to be a modern game. Like, they wanted it to be this super realistic, modern take on Final Fantasy, but they just didn't have the ability to do that in 1997. So they, you know, the Final Fantasy remake is almost like, if they had the technology back then, this is what they would have made. That was kind of their thought process behind it. And no, don't get me wrong, 6 also they wanted to be, you know, modern back then, but I think it was more obvious that they were going for more of a cartoony style back then, because that's all they could do. But 7, like, they wanted people to play it and feel like it was realistic. So that's like where the remake kind of fills in that gap. And the same thing with 8. 8, they wanted it to be, like, uber realistic, and it actually kind of bit them in the butt. They spent so much time trying to make it look realistic that they couldn't make a full experience. There was a lot of stuff left out. So that's why an 8 remake would be cool, because they could fill in those gaps. Like, now it's much easier to make a realistic game quicker. Anyways, Sephiroth stuff.
Congratulations.
And they had to
As of this
rush it.
moment, you are promoted to Soldier First Class.
I thought I'd be happier.
Understandable. Too much happened too fast. Zach, I'm afraid I need your assistance again.
Are you pushing another assignment on me?
My apologies.
Whatever.
I'll fill you in, Zach. But before that, go to the briefing room and change into a first-class uniform.
I love Sephiroth there. You can see that he's like, I mean, I guess you couldn't really see it there because you couldn't see his face as much, but he is like really hurting at the moment for his friends. It's cool.